Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm your host, Sergeant John Perrine, the Indiana State Police Public Information Officer for the Indianapolis District. The Roadshow is brought to you each and every week by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the State Police Alliance. If you're seeing us on YouTube, it's thanks to our good friend Tom Trial, who works so hard to make us look good. So thankful he's back. I've said that every show since he's been back because
I'm thankful he's back too.
And that familiar voice that you hear or see on YouTube is none other than my good buddy Michael Pruitt, the Deputy Chief for the Bargersville Fire Department.
That's right. Up and coming Bargersville.
Up and coming. And you know, I'm seeing some things that you're doing down there, and it's no surprise to me, but you are definitely bringing positive attention to the Bargersville Fire Department.
We have an awesome, fast-growing community down there, and so I enjoy working. It's been fun getting a new start down there after leaving 20 wonderful years at Wayne Township.
And yeah, as if he doesn't need anything else to do, Mike recently won the Republican nomination for Johnson County Coroner. So we'll see how that goes for him in November. But he's not busy enough, apparently. He'd like to have some more work to do.
Yeah, just had to stack some more stuff on.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you, John.
And we are here. Can you believe it's almost July 4th, right around the corner?
2020 has been flying. Some days it seems like it crawls by, but it has been flying by.
What an incredible
And I think most people would agree with us that we're ready to get on to 2021. But right now,
I don't think there will ever be a more celebrated New Year's Eve.
I don't think so either.
In 2021.
I don't think so either.
But anyway, here we are. This pandemic's not over. And we're seeing a lot of effects of that on July 4th celebrations. And one of the biggest notable changes is most cities and towns are canceling their celebrations. They're canceling their fireworks. And to you, as a firefighter, what do you think that is going to do?
Well, my biggest concern is, you always have the standard concerns always, but the concerns this year, because people can't go to large fireworks presentations, they're going to try to host their own large fireworks presentations. And we really, really would just discourage that. Say, just sit out a year. If you're having a small get-together for family and friends like you've always done, that's fine. But let's not try to go out and recreate the downtown Fourth Fest or whatever type of festival that you typically celebrate with just tons and tons of fireworks, because that can get out of hand. The professionals do that here in downtown Indianapolis and other parts across the state. So let's not try to duplicate being those professionals when you have very little experience doing that, because someone could get seriously injured or in worst case, lose their life due to careless firework usage.
And safety tip number one, or at least top 5, alcohol consumption and fireworks is not a good combination.
No, it's not. Typically, when we do respond to something that involves a fireworks injury, I would say there's a large percentage of those calls, there's alcohol involved. Or at least there's alcohol being served at that event.
I have a question. When you go to one of these injuries, though, does the investigation start with a witness saying, well, I was sitting there and I heard somebody say, hey, y'all watch this?
Yeah, that's the staple phrase.
If you hear somebody say that, go ahead and pick your phone up, because 911 is about to be called.
You're absolutely right. And usually those accidents happen when people are trying to push the threshold of the firework. They didn't follow the instructions, or it was someone using the wrong firework. Mortar tubes are always a good one. John and I have got some experience with this one, demonstrating the proper use of a mortar tube. If you put the wrong mortar in the wrong tube,
there's no compression.
There's no compression. It's going to go. Things are going to go bad for you.
Yeah. And you may or may not explode a firework and live on TV.
Yeah, and then we had a couple reporters that are probably still suffering today with flashbacks from that morning of demonstration. But we all survived.
Nobody
and we learned.
Thankfully, nobody got hurt.
No,
but
I think Aaron Lish's hair grew back. And so all is well after that. We all. It was a good demonstration on what not to do.
Yeah, we can joke about it because everybody, but every year fireworks seriously injure people.
Right.
And we don't want to see that. And again, like I said, we're afraid more and more people are going to be lighting their own fireworks this year. What are some basic things that you must have if you're going to put on your own fireworks show?
So one, if you're going to use fireworks, make sure you have a good area to use them in. Okay, I've seen people with small backyards and they're lighting off mortar shells in their backyard. They've got sparklers or the type of showering sparks that they set off. You got to have a good area to do it in. The other thing is read the instructions on how these fireworks are supposed to be used. When you go to these fireworks dealers, and I would always recommend, hey, you can buy fireworks in some of the grocery stores, but if you go to some of our major fireworks dealers here and you ask them about the fireworks and how they work and what they should be careful of, these fireworks stores are pretty passionate about telling the story about because they want to sell their product. They want you to enjoy the 4th of July, but they also have tried most of these things and they can tell you, hey, this is what it's going to do. So if you don't have a proper area to do these in, I wouldn't be shooting these off. So having a proper location, and keeping kids away from fireworks. There's so many alternatives to, these sparklers get up to a couple thousand degrees and cause serious burn, and especially the wire ones. You drop them in the grass, somebody steps on them and gets injured. So find alternative type of ways to celebrate for the kids. Glow necklaces for the little kids. They do, they make the little pull snap pops that you can get. So there's a lot of alternatives that the kids will enjoy. But really, when using those fireworks, just let the adults, sober adults, operate, the fireworks and set them off. But read the instructions, know what you're doing, prep your site, have a plan to set those off. And
what do you recommend for after the fireworks done? Let it sit for a while?
Yeah, so always keep a bucket of water around. And I always like to keep a bucket of water around or a garden hose. So 2 things. You can discard used fireworks into that bucket of water. Just let them soak. But there are also the fireworks that don't go off. And so having a garden hose around that you can soak that down so that because you don't want to go over and pick it up and then throw it in the bucket and something goes off. So having a garden hose that you can spray that down. Those are 2 key things, especially as you wrap up the party. You want to get everything cleaned up, make sure everything is soaked down good, let it soak in buckets and deal with it the next day, because we don't want to see anything smolder and catch anything on fire after the fact. So
yeah, my fear is some of these towns that I've seen are still having a fireworks display. I'm afraid they're going to be very, very crowded. And so if you are going to one of these, plan ahead. Do your best to keep that social distancing. I mean, the COVID's not taking the holiday off.
No, it's not. And, COVID-19 is going to be with us. It's going to be with us for a while. We just have to be conscious of what's going on around us. Keeping your hands clean is huge. Just taking that hand sanitizer with you. If you're going to go to an event, let everybody use it. But also just spread out a little bit. If you're going to watch a fireworks show, you don't have to be stacked on top of each other. But yes, a lot of people may travel to other communities that may be having a fireworks show, and it could get more crowded than it has in the past.
And these smaller communities should prepare for that.
Yes, they absolutely should. If you're having a fireworks display in your community and you are a small town out in southern Indiana somewhere, you might be planning on people coming in from a long ways to bring their kids to watch a fireworks show. So just something you got to keep a pulse on as that develops.
Yep. Well, Mike, another thing, we're in the summer now. Hot weather is upon us. It's become a tradition for you and I to bring attention and awareness to hot cars, to leaving children and pets inside of a car that heats up incredibly fast. So we are doing it tomorrow. The show is recorded. The road show is recorded. So by the time this airs, it will have already happened. But this will be our 4th annual hot car demonstration. What are some positives that you hope that come from this?
Well, tragically, and I always say that, these hot car incidents are accidents, and a majority of them, believe it or not, are. And it's because we live in such a distracted world. We forget things, and literally people forget children and pets in their car, and not even think a thing about it. These are good people that make a mistake that leads to tragedy. I mean, if we go back and we look at all the cases from last year, it's just like you read them and you're like, oh my God, how in the world did they leave their child in the car when they were on their way to work? They got distracted. They weren't the normal person that took someone to school.
Anything outside of their routine.
Yeah, anything outside of the routine. So they weren't the normal person to take care of the child in the mornings, and off they went to work. They had it in their mind to go to work, and they forgot the child was in the back seat. Totally got there. So, always look before you lock. We always push that message out there, but this is something that you and I have taken on and been passionate about getting that word out, because it just breaks my heart whenever this happens to any family that they have to go through this. And anything we can do to bring awareness to that, we're going to do that.
Well, we just had one in another state. Without going into a lot of the details, it appears the children got out of the car and then got back in on their own, and then tragically lost their lives. So that's one thing, is maybe it's not necessarily leaving your child in the car, but your child's outside playing. Your child gets in the car to get something, whatever it may be. You've got child safety locks on the back, and before you know it, they're stuck in the car, and you're not paying attention enough to understand how quickly they can be in trouble.
Yeah, keeping good situational awareness. I mean, just know where your kids are, know what's going on. If your cars are parked in the driveway during the daytime, leave the windows down a little bit. So if you got kids that like to go play in the cars, or discourage them from doing that, basically, but lock the cars so they can't even get in the first place. But just good situational awareness.
If you would like to see the demonstration that Mike and I are about to partake in, again, it will have already happened when this show airs. You can find us on our Facebook page. It's called Johnny Law and Fire Mike. Johnny Law and Fire Mike on Facebook. You can find us there, and we'll share that video. And we're going to do it socially distanced this year, getting creative with technology. But keep in mind pets too. If it's too hot to leave a person in the car, it's way too hot to leave a pet in the car. Even if you're just running into a store for a few minutes and maybe you leave the windows cracked, there's not enough airflow in there, and that car becomes a magnifying glass for heat.
Right. Now, John, if somebody does come across a situation like that, what are they allowed to do in Indiana?
Well, again, it's difficult. The law allows you, if you can tell that a pet or a child is in distress, locked in a car, and the car's not running, allows you to break the window to gain entry. Keep in mind that somebody may leave their pet or an of-age child, a 12, 13-year-old child, in a car that's running. I'll go not recommended. That doesn't give you the right to break the window. They have to be in distress, obvious distress, for you to do that.
Well, it's a big topic, and we go through this every summer. So,
and it's heartbreaking, because we know somewhere in the state of Indiana it's going to happen, and it's going to break our hearts, and we're going to be devastated. We're going to talk about it, and everybody involved is going to wish that it didn't happen.
Yeah, it gets hot in that car. I mean, it takes everything out of us. Last year we had Mr. Scott Pollard with us in the car.
Yeah, in 20 minutes, I think we
won't talk about who bailed out first.
Yeah, but it wasn't anybody under 7 foot.
No, it wasn't. So, but
no, you know what? I do want to. This isn't a competition. Mike and I don't get in there and say, "Hey, who can stay the longest?" It's about bringing awareness, and it gets people talking about it. And if we can get one person to talk about it, think about it next time they have their child in the car, then it's worth the effort, because it's absolutely miserable in there and for several hours after we get out.
Yes, I always feel bad for the rest of the day. Maybe it's my age. I don't know. Just can't handle the heat like I used to, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's probably been a long time since you've actually been in a fire.
Okay, John, we can start wrapping up the conversation now.
So 4th of July coming up, folks. We want everybody to have a safe holiday. We want you to celebrate responsibly. Always remember that if your celebration includes alcohol, have a plan to get home. Sober drivers, ride sharing, whatever you need to do so safely. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and do fireworks. Fireworks safety. We don't want any emergencies. So please do your best to keep anything safe. Mike got 30 seconds here. What do you got?
Just hoping that, as we open back up on July 4th, that is the turning point to save 2020, to turn it around.
We've still got half the year to go. We can make it great.
And you know what? Everybody making the right choices can turn 2020 around, but it's going to take everybody making right choices. Yep,
it is. And we're all in this together. We're going to continue to be in this together, and we were here to make it safe for you. Thank you for tuning in to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the State Police Alliance.